You want to know something? I feel like it's Africa's best kept secret for us. It's a peaceful country. It's a stable country. They speak English. The cost of living is very good. The weather is very good. We're close to Kenya, so we have a lot of the benefits that you might get from being in Kenya, but it's a little bit less expensive. Also, the culture is very warm and friendly. I think it's Africa's best kept secret.
Close your eyes and imagine living a life you love, unapologetic and unbothered, free from daily microaggressions from Karens and Kens, free from the fear of police brutality and systemic racism. Wouldn't that feel amazing? Now open your eyes. What if I told you that it's possible? Hear inspiring stories and get the actual blueprints from brothers and sisters of the diaspora who are living out their wildest dreams abroad. You've heard the term, now be inspired by the movement. I'm Krishan Wright, and this is Blacksit Global. Y'all, I'm excited for this episode of the Blacksit Global podcast because we are going to the continent. I am excited to talk to my next guest, who I read about first in a New York Times article. And I'm so delighted that she reached out and we're going to have a conversation today. So with that, I would like to welcome Shoshana McKinney Kirya-Ziraba to the show. Welcome, Shoshana.
Thank you for welcoming me. It's great to be with you.
It's great to have you here. You're the first guest from Uganda.
Okay. Well, this is the first time for everything. Certainly, hopefully not the last.
Yes, I know.
Hopefully not the last.
I think since you reached out, someone else has reached out from Uganda. And I'm like, okay. I think the universe is telling me, Ugandans, please come.
You want to know something? I feel like it's Africa's best kept secret for us. It's a peaceful country. It's a stable country. They speak English. The cost of living is very good. The weather is very good. We're close to Kenya, so we have a lot of the benefits that you might get from being in Kenya, but it's a little bit less expensive. Also, the culture is very warm and friendly. I think it's Africa's best kept secret.
I love it. And we're going to delve into that more. And so what I love, because you were born in the US and you were from LA. So I always love to start with understanding people's origin stories because I feel like it gives glimpses into the life that they're living today. And so with that, yes, I would love it if you would share with us your origin story.
So I'm from LA, but I'm from West LA. And so the reason why that's important, that I'm from West LA, is that you could probably hear my voice, my accent. I have a very West LA accent. And then also, being from Venice Beach, I didn't grow up around a lot of other Black people. I was always a minority. And that really shaped my self-concept and my understanding of who I was, being African American. Whenever I was around my family, my extended family, that was when our identity was normalized. But outside of that, I was always, it was always something that was weird about me or something that was different about me that I sometimes had to explain why I think this or why I'm wearing that or why my hair is this way, or friends would come over to, why are you eating this food? And then on top of that, I'm from a Jewish family, and so it was like we're a minority within a minority. So it was like, because there's some Blacks from West LA would go to like a Black church every Sunday, where they kind of had that respite. I never had that. And so And so I was always a minority, and I very much had that double consciousness of seeing yourself from the outside and trying to control people's opinions or perceptions of you, trying to overcompensate for stereotypes they might have. You know, it's a trip.
There's layers to it, and I appreciate you
Yes.
being so candid with it, because as I'm listening to you, I'm from the East Coast, and I had that Black church upbringing with my grandfather being a Baptist minister, but I am of a different faith, and to that, as I'm listening to you talk about being Black in East LA and being of the Jewish faith and a minority within a minority, as I'm listening to it, I'm like, wow, how is it as you walk that walk, being around Black people in LA who probably couldn't identify or relate because they had a different, religious upbringing. And then I would imagine on the other side of that, being able to observe your Jewish faith in a synagogue, that might be also in a different experience. And so is that like an assumption on my part? Help me figure that out.
Yeah. Okay. So it was West LA. We were by the beach.
West LA.
And
Clearly, my East
West
Coast
LA.
and geography isn't all that great.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So growing up for me, it was like I was always a minority in every single space I was in. The only times were, like around the holidays when we would, or around like family reunions, when I'd be around my extended family, was when I would be in a Black space. Outside of that, I was always a minority everywhere that I was. At our synagogue that we would mostly go to, there were only 3 Black families in the entire synagogue, and that was good. And that was like the good synagogue, the diverse one,
All 3 of you.
Yes,
wow.
yes. There was, and so it was hard for me. And so it makes sense that I gravitated towards living on the continent and really embracing my African heritage, just because I was kind of alienated from it as, growing up. Really. It makes sense that I'm I'm overcorrecting.
Yeah. So when you were growing up, I'm curious, were you guys a traveling family? Or was
No,
there like where
no.
did this wanderlust come from?
Okay, so we did go on trips. So every couple of years we would go to, like, we went to Alaska one year. We went to Israel and Egypt one year. We would go, because of our family reunion and the fact that the family's so spread out. The family reunion could be in Chicago one year, Atlanta the next, DC the next, and then 2 years later back in LA, so it was very much lots of domestic travel. And then also my mom felt that it was important for me to see the world. So she actually had me do a study abroad in Italy. And that was really great in Florence. And so I did a semester out there. And it was great. I ended up becoming fluent in Italian. Not that that's like
Wow.
the most useful life skill to have, but
Yeah, primarily only if you're in Italy. I mean, I've traveled to Firenze, and yeah, pretty much only there.
well, okay. I will say this: I can help the random lost Italian tourist get to where he's going, and I can also impress my husband when we go to the fancy Italian restaurant. and I'm ordering our food.
There you go. I like that. I like a good flex. Little linguistic flex. You ended up marrying a Ugandan and now you live
Yes.
in Uganda, but it sounds like you guys were able to connect primarily. What I love about it is over your faith. And so even though you had these earlier experiences where you felt like you didn't fit in, I love that like love triumphed over all of that, and now you're living this fabulous life. So how did all of that come about?
So, okay, long story short, his rabbi went to seminary in LA, where I'm from. And me and my mom knew the rabbi from a Hanukkah party. And so we kept in touch with the rabbi on Facebook. And so, when I would say like 2 years into my, dating journey, like my, like there's different phases of the dating life. Like, maybe first stage, you're kind of, just kind of want to have some fun and, some romantic adventures. But then when I finally got serious about seeking a partner, I knew I had to meet a Jewish guy because that was very important to me. And then also I knew I had to meet a Black guy because, it's like, whose music do you listen to? You know what I mean? I don't know how that works. But, functionally, I just was not interested in, an interracial marriage with family. And so, meeting somebody Black and Jewish meant that there was like 5 guys in America that I could date.
I love your sense of humor.
And so by the time my husband starts chatting me up on the rabbi's Facebook page, I'd already been through 2 of them. So I was like, well, hey, let's see what this Ugandan guy is talking about. Yeah. And so I was like, so at first I was like a little bit like, oh, who's this guy? Maybe a little unsure, a little startled. But then we started chatting, and he just came at me the right way, and we got to know each other. He would wake up at 5 a.m, his time to talk to me. So I appreciated that.
That's some love stuff.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. He earned it. He went the extra mile. And for a long time too. It's not like, we had initially, met and then he woke up early every morning. No. Like from jump, like he was about this.
I love it. I love the commitment. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
So how did you all like bridge the divide? Because like you said, you were in the States, he was in Uganda, big time zone difference. So how did you guys, bridge that divide? Either him coming to the States or you going there to have that first meet?
Yes, we did both. So I came to Uganda, checked it out, enjoyed it. I got to know his family, his friends. And then he came to America and he got to meet some of my relatives and friends and see some things about America. And then I went back to Uganda. And when it was time for us to get married, we had great timing on the wedding because it was September 2019. And it was like we had one of the last few of the good weddings before the pandemic came.
Oh my goodness.
And so
talk about timing.
Yeah, that was a blessing. Yeah, that was we had a blessing on the wedding because I remember some friends who had scheduled their weddings, during the pandemic times. Like the saddest wedding pictures. Like everybody wearing a mask.
A lot of disruption.
Everybody
all
with
the way around.
Sad look on their face. 5 people in the room. No flowers. Like It's like, oh, but yeah, we had one of the last few of the good weddings. And it was great. We had a honeymoon in Nairobi.
Wow.
And so when I came back to America, so the idea was that he was going to join me in America. But when I came back, I found out that I was pregnant from our honeymoon. Dun, dun,
Whoa, that was a
dun.
great honeymoon.
Yes,
Go
sure, sure.
Nairobi.
Yeah, sure. There's something in the water over there. Uh, and then the pandemic hits, and my husband can't come back to America, but we have a baby on the way. So it's like, oh, okay. It's a whole new level of drama at this point. So when the lockdown first started, we were disappointed, but the government first said that, oh, well, it's only going to be 3 weeks. Oh, okay. Okay, that'll be fine. There'll be enough time for for him to come back before the baby's born. Okay, all right. And then they said another 3 weeks, and we're like, oh, that's a little odd. Okay. And then another 3 weeks, and we're like, oh, okay. This is a disaster. By the time the third, what is it, like 9 weeks into the 3 week lockdown, we were like, okay, this is
Yeah, pretty much you're resigned to having this baby on your own.
okay. And so it wasn't until February 2021 when my husband and son finally met each other, because I put all our stuff in storage, packed it up, 4 suitcases, a stroller, and a baby.
Whoa.
Over to Uganda. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty insane. So it was like the only way for our family to be reunited was for us to move to Uganda. So, talk about like a blessing in a horrible disguise.
I'd say because you have this, storied romance, which, you had all of these seemingly, insurmountable odds, right? Trying to find someone that is of the same faith, that is of the same ethnicity, and then, you have that connection. You're so blessed to have a new life, right?
Yeah.
And
yes.
then global pandemic like upends everything, and you have to give birth and without your husband present.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a trip. It was a trip. I would say like that whole experience was probably the time in my life where I had to be very brave. And so it annoyed the hell out of me when people would talk about the pandemic, like, oh, quarantine and chill, like that all we had to do was just like experiment with different recipes and like, clean our house, like clean our closets, like no, some of us had some things to go through.
I'd say, oh my gosh, wow. And so what was that reunion like? Because like you said, you made a decision to reunite your family. That wasn't initially according to plan, right? The original plan was that hubby comes to the U.S. Now you make the decision to, close your life in the U.S. and then go to Uganda. Like, what was that? With a baby in tow, no less, right? What was that like?
It was nerve-wracking. I didn't know what it was going to be. There were some things in life that I just didn't have figured out. But at the end of the day, I trusted my husband, and he really made things as easy for us as he could. It's just there was just so much uncertainty in my mind But at the end of the day, take my hat off to my husband because he really did as much as he could to make everything as good for us as possible once we finally got to Uganda. But yeah, it was nerve-wracking because it was like right when I needed the world to be a stable place. When you're becoming a new mom, trying to get the lactation thing together and staying up all hours and, kind of undergoing this identity shift into motherhood, bonding with your baby, learning how to help your baby. At that time in a woman's life, we need the world to just be a stable, calm, boring place. And it was the exact opposite.
Yeah, the world was on
Everything,
fire.
right. Everything that we thought we knew, we didn't know.
Wow. So did you have like a career or anything in the States that you had to worry about, like walking away from or trying to bridge
Yes.
when you moved over to Uganda?
Yes, definitely.
And how did you work through that?
Yeah, it was part of the identity shift. I remember, a few years before, other employees that worked at the company that I worked at debating who was going to get which office and which desk on which floor of the building and who's going to have the best view in their office, who's going to have the best parking spot next to the elevator. Okay. And that the company would kind of dangle these little things as little, signifiers of achievement. Oh, the employee that gets the good parking spot. Who's it gonna go to? Hey, little worker bees, keep grinding. You might be the one.
Come on,
that gets the parking
excellence.
spot.
I know you have it in you.
Yeah. And then, along comes the pandemic, and nobody cares who parks what car at the office because nobody's coming to the office. Nobody cares where you sit in the office. It was like so many of these things that we thought we cared about were just out the window.
Yeah, because it gave you an opportunity to focus on the moments that matter, right? The moments of being a mom, being a wife, trying to navigate this whole emotional roller coaster, not being on the same continent, not knowing what is going to happen with the pandemic. Like literally it was a period of focusing on survival in the midst of also, at least on the American side, managing in a capitalistic environment that still wants you to perform, produce, and outperform in the midst of all of that, right? With little regard for, everything else that goes on in the human's life.
Yeah. And so when I finally got to Uganda, it was so nice because when I first got to Uganda, they were in between lockdowns. So the rules of society had somewhat normalized, and we attended weddings that had a band and a DJ and dancing and, ice swans and it was like, oh, life. I remember this.
Very, very different than the reality for those of us that were still in the States.
Oh, I know. And it was so, so nice. I'm sure there's many reasons why, but Africa did not get hit by the virus in the same way that a lot of other regions of the world did. One reason why I think is because the public had previous experience with Ebola. And so they knew how to do lockdown, And so I think that's why they just used the same playbook. And it wasn't like they had to fight with the public. The public already got it because they had done lockdown before. I think that's part of the reason why Corona didn't hit so bad out here. And then also, the virus doesn't like the sunshine, and the sunshine is very strong out here. So I think that's another reason why Africa did well during the pandemic.
And that's interesting because in Western news, the talk track at that point was not about focusing on what was going right on the continent, right? It was like everybody was glossing over what you articulated so well. It was that, pandemic and, the continent, parts of the continent had been through pandemics before, and Ebola as an example, and developed a playbook. But as you were saying that, and I'm thinking about what, we in the States experienced, there was supposed to be a playbook, but nobody used it, one. And two, now 4 years outside of the pandemic, there has not been this universally shared learning or, hey, if/when we are to experience something like this again, this is the protocol so that we can stave off a lot of the, failings that happen with people not knowing how to get information, not having PPP, not having the resources that they needed, schools being, caught off guard. There hasn't been that hey, we're going to do this analysis and then share it so that if/when this happens again, we are better prepared. Whereas when we think about the continent and a lot of the talk track about it being, underdeveloped and these poor people that, don't know what's going on, they figured this out, right? They figured it out very well. And so I'm curious, as you're sitting there now, post pandemic and, settling into your life in Uganda, what is it like to raise your child in Uganda and have this, I would imagine, bigger life than you had in the States?
The life in Uganda is so good to raise a family in. So good. And for so many reasons. So the first thing is that when we first came to Uganda, we lived in a rental house. But while that first year, my husband was building our house in the village, in a small village in eastern Uganda, next to the city of Mbale. And while, now we live in our house in the village, and our house is on a family compound. So if you could imagine, like a 2-acre plot of land, and then there's 6 different houses on that plot of land. And so grandma and grandpa's house, one auntie, the other auntie, brother-in-law, other sister-in-law, and then our house. And so there's always someone to watch my kid. Whenever I need to go do something, I never have to worry about childcare. I never, have to worry about, is my son going to have someone to play with? So it's boarding school is common out here in Uganda. And whenever all the kids are back from boarding school, there's literally 20 kids on the compound. Literally 20 kids.
Wow.
Okay.
That is so fantastic for him.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. They love kicking the soccer ball around. There's dogs on the compound. There's 4 dogs. There's goats, turkeys, chickens. It's a very natural area. So behind our compound, there's a cassava field. On the other side, there's a cornfield. On the other side, there's a banana plantation that my father-in-law owns. And so the kids can just run around the banana trees.
That's fantastic.
It's so nice. It is. It is. My son was born in the pandemic. So he's going to be 4 years old in a couple months. And this country lifestyle is perfect for him. It's perfect for him. In America, and this is something that I came to learn later on, because when I first came to Uganda, I was like, why are the Ugandan kids so well behaved? Like, what is this? How come American kids seem so wild in comparison to Ugandan kids? But what I learned was that there's this term, the child psychologists call it restraint fatigue. Have you heard of this term, restraint fatigue?
No,
So
never heard of it.
When it comes to kids, the way their mind is, and their bodies have so much extra energy, and the way their mind is, they want to go, they want to explore, they want to do this, they want to do that. And so with American kids having to stay inside a lot, they get restraint fatigue, and so they act up inside the house when they're not supposed to, but really they're just being a normal kid. The way we live in Uganda is closer to the way that most of our grandparents lived, where the kids can just go outside and run around and chase the dog and do that for a little bit. So that when it is time to come inside, they can sit down, act properly, eat their food, not disturb everybody. Because when it's time to go run around again, they can just go outside with the other kids, and it's fine. Nobody's worried about the kid getting kidnapped, which, is sadly a thing in America, where, and, other parts of the world. But, nobody's worried about their kid walking over to the corner store to buy a lollipop. You can send the kids with $1 to the corner store and know that they'll come back, and nobody's worried about who's going to steal them or do something bad to them on the way there.
Yeah, school shootings, I'm sure is not a thing the way
No,
it is
it's not a thing. No,
in America.
It's something that they see on TV and they can't believe it.
Wow.
They can't believe it. Nobody ever thought, never once in Uganda had anybody ever thought that a kid is going to bring a gun to their high school and hurt the other students or the teachers. Nobody ever thought that. Mental health in general is so much better out here. Now, there is a problem with the health system. Like when someone does have a mental illness, there's not as much medical help, but the environment keeps the average person much healthier. The environment and the culture. The culture is not so focused on work and achieving and earning and go nonstop, hustle harder, hustle harder for that parking spot. Okay, it's not. Also, people have more people live with their extended families and are close with their extended families. Also, having access to green spaces and living in the flow of nature, like local food that's in season. You go to the farmer's market and you talk to the tomato guy, and you talk to the onion guy, and you talk to the lady selling mangoes. You get your chicken, who raised your chicken. Your chicken is still clucking when you buy it. Yes. It's more in line with the way that humans were meant to live. There were some times in America where I felt like I was a robot.
Yeah, I can relate because I recently did a video about escaping Black excellence, and one of the things that I remember, it was this feeling of, is that all there is? Like,
Yeah.
I thought I was riding a struggle bus at 30,000, then I got to 60, then to 90, then 100, and it just felt like a bad, I don't even know, Groundhog's Day, like the movie over and over. It's like, that's all there is. And what I'm hearing from your experience thus far in Uganda is, community, the village, it takes a village, right?
Yes,
You literally are living that
it
out, with
takes
the
a village.
compound and the food. And I'm hearing land ownership and business ventures and things that to us as Black Americans, very elusive, like few and far between in any real meaningful and tangible way. And that to know that there are places that we can live out our dreams boldly is inspiring. And so you've been able, since that you've been in Uganda, to create a nonprofit. So I would love it if you would share about some of the work that you've been doing.
Yes. So we've been talking about the benefits of life in Uganda, but there's also struggles too. Okay, we got to be balanced in the way we talk about it. So there's two populations that I would say are underserved in our community. That would be the poor women and also disabled kids. And so my husband had the idea that we got to do something for kids with disabilities. There is no nonprofit organization in our area that is addressing the issue of disabled kids. And so for them, we've done a couple things. The organization we started, we're Jews, so it has a super Jewy name. It's called Tikva Chadasha Uganda, which in Hebrew it means new hope for Uganda. So it's Tikvah, and then Chadasha is Chadasha. And what we do is we help disabled kids in any way that they need. So one thing we love to do is have a community volunteer day where we get our friends and our neighbors, some relatives, and we go out to these different schools that are serving kids with disabilities. And we'll do all kinds of things like clean the school, landscaping at the schools, get the kids candies and cookies and play them the pop music that they like and draw pictures with them. We also, we'll play cards with them and just to show them that the adults in their community really care. And at our last volunteer day, we didn't know it until it was time for the group picture. But at our last volunteer day, there was one girl who didn't have a wheelchair, and she was coming over toward the rest of the group, crawling on her hands and knees on the hot pavement. And some of the other kids were so snarky, yelling at her to hurry up. I was like, "Will you shut your mouth?" And so, while she was there, crawling over to the rest of the group, I just said to myself, okay, this is an emergency. We cannot have this. So I called one of our donors who rallied his friends, and they all pitched in together, and we got her a wheelchair before the week was done.
Oh my gosh.
And that was something I was really,
huge.
Yes, I was really, really proud of our organization, our community, and the things that we do. We have a girl right now. She has epilepsy. She's a very smart girl. She's very capable. Her only problem is that she has seizures, and the seizures come on at a moment's notice. And so she has to wear a headgear. And so people see her wearing this headgear and they think that, oh, well, maybe she has, an intellectual disability, but she doesn't. She's intellectually at grade level, but she needs a special school that knows how to deal with kids that have issues with their bodies. And so we want to make a scholarship for her to send her to the special school that she needs. And so that's that our fundraiser is kicking off on Monday. March 18th. And so we're going to be raising money for her. We also want to make a chicken farm at the School for Disabled Kids so they can have that as an internal profit center. We love projects that are sustainable so the beneficiary no longer needs us when the project is done. Those are the best projects. We also do chicken farms for the women, the poor women that we work with. These women are really the poorest of the poor in our community. They work as day labor in the vegetable fields, and they get less than $2 per day. That's not enough for just a single person, let alone a woman who has children. And so for them, what we do is we sponsor all of the equipment, the supplies, the baby chicks. We also go into where they are and we'll convert their shed, whatever shed that they have, into a chicken farm. We'll plaster the interior. We'll add solar panels to the roof. We'll do a rainwater trough around the perimeter. And what they have is a sustainable, environmentally friendly chicken farm that runs on solar power and rainwater. All of our chicken farms are cage free. That is an absolute value that we have. We will never, ever use cages in any of our farms. And it's a long-term sustainable monthly income, it's basically guaranteed. The demand for meat is growing. And so there's no concern about oversaturation with women raising chickens. And it's something that we can be proud of. And when we do these for these women, we really just change their life of the whole family. Women share the income that they get with their children. They're able to improve their houses. They're able to do less work, get more money, and take care of their homes and their families in a better way. And since they're working at home, it's not something that's disruptive to the family. There were some donors in America who were like, well, oh, you're making these women work. Well, no, these women were already working out in the field and not getting enough. So let them work at home. It's not disruptive for women to work at home and get paid more for doing it.
Yeah, if you want to change the world, invest in women. Point blank.
Yes, and invest in women in a way that's harmonious with their home lives. And it was my idea. So that working with the kids was my husband's idea, but working with the women was my idea. And I'm really proud of it.
Wow. I'm proud of both of you for the impact it sounds like that you're making there, and, trying to transform communities through economic self-sufficiency, and that has impact for generations. So I love that, and seeing the potential in people and making a difference, positive impact. So I'm thrilled. I will link the details for your nonprofit, and if anybody wants to support, that information will be in the description of this episode. So, Shoshana, as we start to close, what do you see as next on the horizon for you in your journey?
I'm going to be going to America on a speaking tour for the nonprofit, the Northeast of America, and also some cities in Texas. But I also want to talk to more African Americans, start getting people thinking about coming to Africa, at least to visit, but then also doing that mental shift. Like we talked before, you don't have to physically get here to start the journey. You can start the journey now. You can start to unplug from some of those belief systems. You can start to engage with your African heritage. There's some people where the journey starts with a DNA test. There's some people where the journey starts with with maybe they go to an African restaurant, or maybe they go to a museum and see some African art there, or they watch a documentary. You don't have to get your arm twisted by the pandemic into moving before you start making the journey. So that's one thing I want to leave people with that I think will really help.
Yeah, you don't have to wait until the water gets boiling hot to try and jump out the pot. Like, we can have agency and make these decisions that yield so much more on the other side, but you just have to take that leap of faith, which I can tell that, you have done very well and continue to flourish. And so for anybody who wants to keep up with you and learn more, where can people find you?
Definitely on Facebook. I'm on Facebook a lot. I love Facebook. It's a really great place to connect with lots of different people. And then if people want to learn more about the organization, we have a lot of information about us on YouTube, our YouTube channel. And our name again is Tikva Hadasha Uganda, TIKVAHCHADASHA Uganda. Tikva Hadasha Uganda.
That is awesome. Well, like I said, all of that information will be in the show notes for this episode. And with that, I want to thank you, Shoshana, for being such a great guest on the Black Sit Global podcast. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation and getting to know more about your journey and the wonderful work that you're doing in Uganda. I wish the best for you and your family. And yeah, I look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you, Krishan.
Thank you for listening to the Black Sit Global podcast. For more information on today's episode, be sure to visit our website at blacksitglobal.com. It's not only possible to live out your dreams unbothered and in full color, it is your birthright.